My name's Ria Bailes. I've got background in both private and public sector, but for the past 14 years or so, I've been in and around social housing, an absolutely fabulous sector. I've been most recently Group Director of People and Change for One Housing, and now I'm Managing Director of Bailes Partners Consulting, which is an advisory organisation looking at leadership, organisational change and business growth. So I thought Makers and Mentors was an absolutely brilliant initiative. It's backed by the Mayor of London for every good reason. I think that I joined social housing and kind of the HR type of discipline years and years and years ago, when I wasn't really clear about what I wanted to do as a career. And I think mentors and sponsors as well probably play a really important role in actually figuring out, helping you learn and understand about what type of career that you would want, what type of opportunities come to you, and really kind of what you enjoy and what type of satisfaction that you can get out of work as well. So Makers and Mentors, I think, plays a really, really important part in helping people both be able to flourish and be the best that they can be, but also understanding how the built environment and London as well as a whole provides all different types of career opportunities that are really, really exciting. There's information out there on the mentors that are available. The mentee signs up, the match themselves. And I think one of the key things is that it avoids bureaucracy, it avoids kind of lengthy process. It was very, very simple. It was very, very straightforward. And it puts almost the responsibility, I think, onto the mentee to be able to do the choosing, to do the contacting. All of that is supported. And I think that's a really good place to start the mentoring relationship as well. I think it's great for that relationship to be instigated by the mentee, for them to have a really good kind of understanding of that they want this relationship, and it gets them to think about what they want from it as well. The Makers and Mentors scheme obviously provides huge benefits for people that get some exposure to maybe strategic insight from different parts of the business's perspective on things, on perhaps different business language as well. It's great because I think we all live in such a fast-paced world. And this gives a real time for the space to actually think about things and think about some of kind of the bigger issues, and perhaps those that are a bit more personal, or a bit more kind of closer to home. And having just decent space to be able to think that through with somebody that might have been through that kind of that experience themselves before, that offers maybe a different perspective as well on things. I think it's really important in mentoring that obviously you're not trying to put your own views and opinions onto somebody. You're asking questions and you're working through challenges and giving some of the insights that experience can be for people to kind of to work through issues. I think one of the other real advantages to this is that if mentees can step into that space where they can be really, really open, where they can probably show some of their vulnerabilities as well, I think that's really helpful, because you can build up a relationship with your mentor that is very, very different to what it is with your line manager. And I think you can probably bring things to your mentor that perhaps you might not be prepared to with your manager, because it might show what you consider to be maybe a vulnerable side, maybe a slightly kind of thing, that a weaker maybe area that you wouldn't necessarily want to portray with your line manager. So I tend to find with people that I mentor that they will bring kind of work issues, work problems. They're trying to chew through how to maybe design a new strategy on something, and it's just a space where you can actually kind of put the fast-paced pressure of the day-to-day aside and just carve out that space to be thinking through. And that's quality thinking time that I think is really, really important. So I think it's really important when you first set about establishing a relationship, when you're doing mentoring, for the mentee to be really, really clear about what it is that they want from that relationship. You can't solve absolutely everything. You can't talk through everything. So I think it's helpful to kind of condense down into almost kind of objectives or topics that you really want to work on, and then over a period of time be able to work through what those kind of topics, what those issues are. And that doesn't mean that I don't think that it necessarily needs to be really, really structured. I think it's worth just posing some really open questions in those first types of meetings, about what is it that you want, what are the things that perhaps that you are struggling with, maybe why. So just really getting kind of the mentee and maybe both parties really to kind of be reflective of what is it that they want out of this and how might that work. The second thing, and this can be uncomfortable, but certainly try to develop a relationship that is really, really open to get the best out of mentoring. Quite often you do have to step into that space, which is, I just don't know how to do this, and I'm struggling with this, and I think I need some additional help to go with this. Can I bounce some of these ideas off you? And quite often you do that in that safe mentoring space because maybe you feel as though you can't do it necessarily in the workplace. So open, definitely trusting, but maybe try to show some of that perhaps more vulnerable side, because I think you can really, really get advantages from that, and you can really find kind of strengths, opportunities. It's creating an environment where you can really flourish and you can think through those bits, and then you can bring brilliant outcomes and brilliant ideas back to the workplace as well. I think some advice maybe for the mentors is to work really, really hard to create that safe environment as well, and to try to get the mentees to be thinking through some of the issues themselves to help guide, but perhaps not provide all of the solutions, and to get them kind of thinking about just other options. And I think it's really helpful to think of the mentor role also as slightly perhaps as a sponsorship role. I think it's really, really helpful for people to be able to have access to a mentor's networks, to the opportunities that just come across their desks and such. And that is the beauty of kind of mentors and makers. It is such an inclusive program. Diversity is really, really important to not only this program, to the Mayor of London has put forward for an initiative. So I think it's really important for us to be able to be opening up our network so that we can provide opportunities for the broadest range of people that we possibly can.